Some people are born into palaces. Amanda Maxey was born in one, then thrown out like trash. The mountain fog parts as the armored SUV rolls to a stop. Marcus Chen, security specialist to Manhattan's elite, steps out expecting. What? A damaged girl? A frightened victim? Instead, he finds her surrounded by books. Ancient texts stacked on the library steps like a fortress. Amanda Maxey stands among them, 18 years old, wearing a coat that's seen better decades and boots made for fighting, not fashion. When she finally acknowledges him, her eyes hold something he's never seen in all his years protecting the powerful. Certainty. You're here to take me back. Not a question. A statement. Your family isn't my family. They're strangers who need something. She closes the book in her hands with careful reverence. The city smells of rot and desperation. Tell the Maxeys I'll come, but they should know something first. Chen waits. I'm not the broken thing they threw away. Not anymore. The arrival. They want her to feel small. That's the point of the penthouse, the marble, the gold, the art worth more than most people's lives. They want her to know she doesn't belong. But Amanda doesn't shrink. Eleanor Maxey stares at her lost daughter like she's tracked mud across Persian rugs. Those books, those clothes. My God, what have you been doing for 18 years? Learning. One word. Steady as stone. Serafina drifts in all silk and superiority. She's everything Amanda was supposed to be. Polished, perfect, praised. Is this really her? The cursed one. Serafina is accomplished, Eleanor says quickly, as if Amanda might not notice. Juilliard, Olympics. She's everything this family represents. You, on the other hand, the pause is cruel. You're here because of your grandfather's will. Nothing more. St. Jude's Academy has agreed to take you remedial track, of course. You'll stay out of sight, out of mind. Don't speak to our friends. Don't touch anything valuable. Don't embarrass us more than your existence already does. Richard finally looks at her, studies her. Do you understand what's expected? Amanda sets her books down on their precious furniture. Dust rises like a challenge. I understand you need me more than I need you. The room goes silent. I understand you threw away a daughter and bought a replacement. She looks at Serafina without emotion. I understand you're terrified of what grandfather saw in me that he never saw in you. Eleanor's face flushes. How dare! I'll take the West Room for my work. I'll attend your school. I'll fulfill whatever clause has you this desperate. Amanda picks up her books, her armor. But let's be clear about something. She meets Eleanor's eyes. Richard's. Even Serafina's. You didn't save me by bringing me here. You just let me in. You ever notice how the people who throw you away always assume you stay down? The Maxeys think they're letting in a broken girl they can control for 3 months. What they've actually done is invite a storm into their perfect little world. And honestly, I can't wait to show you what happens next. If you've ever been underestimated, ever had someone assume you'd stay small because they needed you to, drop a comment. Tell me what happened when you proved them wrong. Because Amanda's about to teach the Maxeys a lesson 18 years in the making. And trust me, you don't want to miss a single moment of what she's been hiding. Let's see what happens when the broken thing they threw away turns out to be the only person capable of destroying everything they built. The black SUV's engine rumbles through the Appalachian fog like a threat. Marcus Chun has extracted hostages from war zones, protected CEOs from cartel hits, but his hands are sweating on the steering wheel. Something about this job feels wrong. Miss Maxey. He steps out, trying to sound authoritative. I'm here on behalf of Eleanor and Richard Maxey, your biological parents. There's been a development with your grandfather's estate. You're required to return to Manhattan immediately. The girl doesn't move. She's standing on the crumbling steps of an abandoned library, surrounded by stacks of leather-bound books that look older than the building itself. Her thrift store coat hangs on her thin frame, but she wears it like armor. Amanda, did you? The city smells of rot and desperation from here. Her voice is soft, almost clinical. When she finally looks up, Chun feels his breath catch. Her eyes aren't the eyes of an abandoned foster kid. They're calculating, ancient. Tell my parents I'll come, but I don't take orders from ghosts. Chun has handled dictators who scared him less. The Maxeys are expecting you by evening. They've arranged enrollment at St. Jude's Academy. I'm sure they have. She picks up the nearest stack of books with surprising strength. Do me a favor, Mr. Chen. When you call Eleanor tonight to confirm my arrival, watch her face when she realizes what she's invited back into her home. I don't understand. Amanda's smile is cold as winter. You will. The penthouse elevator opens with a sound like money itself. Crystalline, pure, untouchable. 15,000 square feet of marble and gold leaf stretch before Amanda. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame Central Park like a painting worth more than most people's lives. Every surface screams luxury, power, untouchability. Eleanor Maxey stands in the center of it all, blonde hair perfect, Chanel suit immaculate. When she sees Amanda, her face does something between recoil and panic. My God, Richard, look at her. Richard Maxey doesn't look up from his scotch. She's here. That's all that matters for the will. Amanda steps forward, still carrying her books. Dust motes swirl in the chandelier light. She's wearing combat boots, a military surplus coat with patches older than Serafina. Her hair is pulled back in a simple braid. No makeup, no jewelry. She looks like she crawled out of a Steinbeck novel and into their Architectural Digest spread. Mother, father. Her voice is flat, emotionless. From the piano room, a vision glides forward. Serafina Maxey, 19, Juilliard-bound, Olympic equestrian, fluent in 4 languages. She's everything Amanda was supposed to be. Perfect posture, perfect grades, perfect performance of upper-class breeding. This is her. Serafina's laugh is crystal. Grandfather's making us bring back. This? Eleanor forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Amanda, let me be clear about your situation. Serafina is a Juilliard prodigy and an Olympic equestrian. She represents everything this family stands for. You. She gestures vaguely at Amanda's entire existence. You are here to fulfill a legal technicality. Nothing more. Your grandfather's will requires your presence until your 18th birthday, Richard adds, swirling his drink. 3 months. Then you can return to whatever hovel you crawled out of. We've enrolled you at St. Jude's Academy. Eleanor continues, her voice saccharine with fake concern. The remedial track, of course, for students who need extra support. You'll barely be visible. Just stay quiet, don't embarrass us, and for God's sake, put those filthy books somewhere out of sight. Amanda sets the books on a $40,000 console table. The thud echoes. I'll need a workspace. Western windows, preferably. The room goes silent. Excuse me? Eleanor's voice could cut glass. The room with Western light. I'll need it for my work. Serafina laughs. Your work? What work could you possibly? Am I dismissed? Amanda picks up her books again. Or is there more performance art you'd like to subject me to? She walks past them. Past the Warhol. Past the Basquiat. Past the family photos that never included her. Behind her, Eleanor whispers to Richard, Did she just give US orders? In the hallway, Amanda allows herself the ghost of a smile. They have no idea what they've brought into their home. St. Jude's Academy sits on 10 acres of manicured Connecticut landscape, where tuition costs more than a luxury car and every student's last name appears in Forbes. Amanda arrives in a school-provided sedan. Eleanor refused to let her be seen in the family car. The driver hands her a schedule without looking at her. Remedial track, Building C. Use the side entrance. The main courtyard is a performance of wealth. Girls in designer uniforms compare summer homes in the Hamptons. Boys discuss yacht clubs and hedge funds. They all stop talking when Amanda walks past. Her combat boots echo on marble floors. Is that her? Someone whispers. The Maxey charity case? I heard she's practically feral. Grew up in some Appalachian trailer park. Eleanor must be dying of embarrassment. Amanda doesn't react. She's faced worse than entitled teenagers. The remedial track classroom is in the oldest building, tucked away like a shameful secret. 20 students, all carrying the weight of being not quite good enough for St. Jude's standards. The teacher, Mrs. Holloway, looks at Amanda with pity. Miss Maxey, welcome. We focus on foundational skills here. Reading comprehension, basic mathematics. I understand your educational background has been inconsistent. Amanda takes a seat in the back, sets her ancient books on the desk. Is that Latin? The girl next to her, Maria, name tag says, leans over. Those books, that's Latin, right? Among other languages. Mrs. Holloway begins the lesson. Kindergarten-level analysis of To Kill a Mockingbird. Amanda opens one of her books instead, a 15th century manuscript on cryptography. Across the quad, in the advanced placement building, Serafina holds court. 20 admirers hang on her every word as she describes her upcoming Juilliard audition. My sister. She laughs when someone asks, oh, you mean the charity project? She's in remedial, where she belongs. But here's what Serafina doesn't know. In Building C, Amanda is running calculations in the margins of her notebook. Algorithms that would make MIT professors weep. Code that protects nuclear facilities. At lunch, Amanda sits alone in the library while the school eats in the gilded cafeteria. She's reading a text on Renaissance forgery techniques when the librarian approaches. Those are impressive books. Mr. Garrett, 70 if he's a day, adjusts his glasses. Is that the Voynich manuscript analysis? Amanda looks up. For the first time, she smiles. Really smiles. You know the Voynich? My dear, I've been collecting rare texts for 40 years, but I've never seen that particular edition outside of Yale's collection. That's because Yale's is a forgery. She turns the book so he can see. The real one is here. Mr. Garrett's hands shake as he realizes what he's looking at. Who are you? But Amanda's already packing up. Lunch period is ending. Just the remedial student, Mr. Garrett. Don't forget. 3 weeks into the semester, Eleanor makes her announcement at breakfast. The Metropolitan Museum is unveiling a newly acquired manuscript Saturday evening. The entire family will attend. She looks at Amanda with disgust. Including you. Grandfather's attorney insists on photographic proof of family unity. Can she even dress herself properly? Serafina smirks over her acai bowl. We've arranged appropriate attire, Eleanor says coldly. Amanda, you will not speak. You will not draw attention. You will smile for photographs and be invisible otherwise. Do you understand? Amanda continues eating her eggs. Perfectly. Saturday arrives. A stylist comes to the penthouse, armed with a black dress appropriate for a funeral. Simple. Forgettable. The kind of thing meant to make someone disappear. Amanda wears it without complaint. The Metropolitan Museum at night is transformed. Manhattan's elite mill about champagne glasses catching light from crystal chandeliers. The Maxey family makes their entrance like royalty. Serafina glows in a custom Valentino gown, her arm linked with Eleanor's. Richard shakes hands with senators and CEOs. Amanda trails behind, invisible as ordered. The crowd gathers in the medieval wing. A podium has been set up before a glass case containing an ancient manuscript, its pages illuminated with gold leaf and intricate calligraphy. Dr. Harrison, the museum's director, takes the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we unveil one of the greatest discoveries in Renaissance history. This 15th century manuscript, authenticated by experts worldwide, details previously unknown alchemical practices. The Maxey family's generous donation of $20 million has made this acquisition possible. The crowd applauds. Eleanor and Richard bask in the attention. Serafina leans toward Amanda with a vicious smile. Try not to drool on the glass, though I doubt you can even read it. History probably wasn't covered in your hillbilly education. Amanda says nothing, but she's staring at the manuscript with an intensity that makes Marcus Chen, watching from the security detail, nervous. The crowd begins to disperse, moving toward the reception. Amanda steps closer to the case. "Miss, please maintain distance from the artifact," a guard says. She ignores him, pulls out her phone, taking photos of specific pages. "Amanda," Eleanor hisses. "What are you doing? Get away from there." That's when the commotion begins. A man in an immaculate suit pushes through the crowd, flanked by his own security. He's speaking rapid French to his assistant. The crowd parts, people recognize him. Jean-Pierre Dubois, director of the Louvre, one of the most powerful men in the global art world. He walks straight past the Maxeys, past Dr. Harrison. He stops in front of Amanda and bows. "Mademoiselle l'Archivist," he says quietly. "I did not expect to find you here." The room goes silent. Eleanor's face is confusion incarnate. "I'm sorry, do you know? Do I know her?" Dubois laughs. "Madame Maxey, this young woman is the only person on Earth trusted to handle the Dead Sea Scrolls. She's restored artifacts the Vatican wouldn't let their own experts touch." He turns back to Amanda. "What brings the Archivist to New York?" Amanda's voice is calm, clinical. "Tell me, Monsieur Dubois, did the Louvre authenticate this manuscript?" "Non, we were not asked. But surely, look at page 47. Third illumination from the left. The gold leaf composition is wrong. 13th century technique, not 15th. She points without touching the glass. Page 103, the binding thread is synthetic. And the parchment itself. She meets his eyes. "I know it's a forgery, Monsieur Dubois, because I personally burned the original 3 years ago." The crowd erupts in whispers. "That's impossible." Dr. Harrison pushes forward. "We had 3 independent authenticators who authenticated a masterwork fake." Amanda pulls up her phone, shows Dubois images. The original was in a private collection in Prague. It contained detailed instructions for creating a biological weapon using medieval materials. I was hired to destroy it. I documented everything before the burning. Dubois examines her phone, his face going pale. "Mon Dieu, she's right. Look at the thread composition in her photos versus the display piece." Dr. Harrison is having a breakdown in real time. Richard Maxey's face is purple. Eleanor looks like she might faint. Serafina sputters. She's lying. She's just some hillbilly who..." The Archivist does not lie. Dubois's voice cuts like a blade. "If she says this is a forgery, institutions around the world will accept that as fact." He looks at Dr. Harrison. "You need to remove this immediately and contact the FBI. You've been defrauded." The gala dissolves into chaos. Security swarms the manuscript case. Richard is screaming at Dr. Harrison about getting his $20 million back. Eleanor is trying to maintain composure while reporters smell blood in the water. In the chaos, Amanda walks away. Marcus Chen catches up to her in the corridor. "Who are you?" She doesn't slow down. "Just the remedial student, Mr. Chen. Don't forget." Behind them, the sound of the Maxey reputation cracking apart echoes through marble halls. The scandal consumes the news cycle for a week. The Maxeys retreat to their penthouse, fielding calls from lawyers while the art world tears itself apart trying to figure out how the Archivist, a figure of almost mythical reputation, is connected to the disgraced family. At St. Jude's, Amanda becomes a ghost story. Students part when she walks down hallways. Even the remedial track teachers treat her differently. Serafina, humiliated, doubles down on cruelty. Just because you got lucky identifying some forgery doesn't make you special, she hisses in the penthouse hallway. You're still the broken experiment they threw away. Amanda doesn't respond. She's reading a text on quantum encryption. 2 weeks after the gala, everything changes. It starts with the lights flickering during advanced calculus. Then phones go dead. Emergency broadcasts crackle through the school's PA system. This is not a drill. The Northeast power grid has been compromised. Students are to remain in classrooms until the broadcast cuts out. Within hours, it's clear. Someone has hacked into the United States power grid infrastructure. Military installations are on backup generators. Hospitals are in emergency mode. 40 million people in the Northeast are without power. At the Maxey Tech headquarters in Manhattan, Richard is in full crisis mode. His company, Maxey Technologies, is one of the largest defense contractors in the nation. The Pentagon is on line 1, screaming for solutions. I don't care what it takes, Richard yells at his team. Find the breach point. This is our infrastructure. But they can't. The hack is too sophisticated. The firewall is being torn apart by code that seems almost alive, adapting to every countermeasure. At St. Jude's Academy, students are being evacuated to homes with generators. The wealthy elite don't suffer like common people. Their backup systems have backup systems. Amanda is in the library, calmly reading by emergency lighting. Amanda Maxey? She looks up. 3 men in military uniforms stand at the entrance, led by a 4-star general whose face she recognizes from classified briefings she's read. General Morrison, head of U.S. Cyber Command. The entire library watches as he approaches her table. Miss Maxey, I need you to come with me. Mrs. Patterson, the librarian, steps forward. General, I don't think you understand. This is a student. I understand exactly who she is. His voice is steel. Miss Maxey, the Northeast grid is under attack. 40 million Americans are at risk. We need Cipher. The whispers start immediately. Serafina, who's been watching from across the library, laughs. Cipher? That's the code name for whoever designed the National Defense Firewall. You think this remedial student was 14 when she wrote the code that protects every classified U.S. military system. General Morrison's voice cuts through the room like a blade. Miss Maxey, we need you to log in. Now. Amanda closes her book slowly. When did the breach start? 0400 hours this morning. They're adapting to every countermeasure. That's because the firewall was designed to learn. She stands, gathering her things. It's not being breached, it's being rewritten from inside. Someone with admin access is corrupting the learning algorithms. The general's face goes pale. That would mean inside job. Someone with security clearance at the highest level. She walks past him toward the door. How much time before critical infrastructure fails? 4 hours. Maybe less. Then let's not waste time. The students watch, stunned, as Amanda Maxey, remedial student, family embarrassment, problem child, walks out with the most powerful military figure in the country treating her like she's the president. Serafina's face is white as paper. They take her to a mobile command center parked in St. Jude's lot. A truck that's basically a military-grade computer lab. Inside, 20 analysts are frantically working at screens showing cascading failures across the power grid. Ma'am, we've lost secondary substations in. Cipher's here, General Morrison announces. The analysts turn. See Amanda. Their faces cycle through confusion, disbelief, and then recognition as they see what she's carrying. A custom laptop with serial numbers that exist in their classified databases. You're really her? The lead analyst, Dr. Sarah Chun, stares. You're the one who built Sentinel Protocol? When I was 14, yes. Amanda opens her laptop, and the screens around the truck immediately sync to her system. Show me the infection point. They work through the data streams. Amanda's fingers fly across the keyboard, typing code faster than most people can read. She's not looking at the screen, her eyes are closed, visualizing the data structures like a three-dimensional chess game. There, she says finally. Your insider isn't CIA or NSA. They're corporate. Someone with access to the firmware updates you push to civilian infrastructure. Dr. Chun pulls up the access logs. That's a short list. Only 3 companies have that clearance. Amanda's smile is cold. And one of them is Maxey Technologies. General Morrison's jaw clenches. Your family's company? They're not my family. And yes, she's already tracing the digital signature. The corruption is being pushed through a firmware update scheduled for 0600 this morning. Someone at Maxey Tech sold admin access to... Let me see. She tunnels deeper into the code. Chinese military intelligence. The truck goes silent. Can you stop it? Morrison asks. I can do better. I can trap them. Her fingers never stop moving. Sentinel Protocol has a failsafe I never told anyone about. If it detects hostile admin access, it doesn't shut down, it feeds false data. Makes the attacker think they're succeeding while actually isolating them. She types for 3 more minutes. The screens around her start shifting, red warnings turning yellow, then green. Grid stabilization in sectors 4 through 7. An analyst calls out. Secondary systems coming back online. How is she? Rerouting power distribution through civilian satellite uplinks. Amanda says calmly. It'll buy us 48 hours. And the attackers? Amanda pulls up a screen showing an IP address in Beijing. Traced, tagged, and their backdoor access is now feeding them simulated data. They think they're still in the system. Meanwhile, I've locked them in a virtual sandbox that's recording every keystroke. General Morrison stares at the screens. You just saved 40 million people and gave us intelligence gold. I also just proved Richard Maxey's company has a mole selling access to foreign governments. She looks up at him. You'll want to raid his offices before they clean house. I'd estimate you have about 20 minutes before someone notices the grid stabilization. Morrison is already on his phone, barking orders. Amanda packs up her laptop. General, when you arrest the mole, you'll find they've been selling access for 11 months. Maxey Technologies has been compromised since last January. Every firmware update they've pushed is potentially infected. Jesus Christ. You'll need to quarantine their entire product line and run manual security audits. It'll cost billions and take months. She pauses at the truck's door. Oh, and General? When the press asks who stopped the attack, I'd appreciate it if Cipher remained anonymous. After what you just did, the president will want to give you a medal. The president can send a fruit basket to my dorm. Her smile is sharp. I prefer staying invisible. She walks out of the truck into the dawn light. Behind her, she can hear analysts whispering, that was Cipher. That teenager just saved the entire eastern seaboard. By the time Amanda reaches the school building, her phone is exploding with news alerts. FBI raids Maxey Technologies headquarters. National security breach. Defense contractor accused of espionage. Richard Maxey detained for questioning. In the penthouse, Eleanor is watching their empire collapse on every news channel, and for the first time in her life, she has no idea how to spin this. Richard Maxey isn't arrested, not quite. He's cooperating with federal investigators, which is rich people code for guilty but too connected to perp walk. The company is frozen, assets seized, reputation demolished. But Richard knows who did this to him. That little bitch. He snarls in the penthouse, his third scotch of the morning in hand. She set us up. The timing, right after the museum disaster. Richard, she's 18 years old, Eleanor says, but her voice wavers. She couldn't possibly. She's Cipher. The federal government just confirmed it. Our daughter, the one we threw away, has been running national defense systems since she was 14. He throws his glass at the wall. It shatters. What else don't we know about her? Serafina sits frozen on the couch, her perfect world cracking apart. She's been the golden child for 18 years, the star, the prodigy, and now Amanda, remedial, broken, unwanted Amanda, is revealed to be operating on a level Serafina can't even comprehend. At St. Jude's, Amanda has become untouchable. Students whisper as she passes. Teachers don't call on her. The principal invited her to transfer to the advanced track. She declined. I'm fine in remedial, thank you. But she's not fine. She's planning. Late at night, while the Maxeys sleep in their penthouse, Amanda sits in her assigned bedroom. The smallest, coldest room in the apartment, tucked away like an afterthought, and opens her laptop. She's been thinking about genetic experiments, about why Eleanor and Richard were so quick to abandon a child, about why they called her cursed. So she hacks their medical records. It takes her 40 minutes to crack the private server at Manhattan Presbyterian Hospital, where wealthy families store the medical secrets they don't want in normal databases. The Maxeys have a dedicated account, encrypted with military-grade protection. Amanda goes through it like tissue paper. What she finds makes her blood run cold. Patient: Amanda Maxey, in utero. Procedure: experimental gene therapy. Protocol genesis. Date: 18 years ago. Authorization: Richard and Eleanor Maxey. The file contains everything: research papers, consent forms, progress reports. 18 years ago, Richard and Eleanor Maxey signed up for an illegal experimental program run by a disgraced geneticist named Dr. Konstantin Volkov. The promise: genetically enhance their unborn child to have superior intelligence, enhanced pattern recognition, accelerated learning capabilities. The procedure worked. Too well. Baby Amanda showed signs of extraordinary intelligence by age 2, but the side effects, social detachment, hyperfocus that made her seem distant, emotional regulation issues, terrified them. Instead of a daughter they could parade at galas, they had a child who was brilliant but wrong. So they called her cursed, damaged, a failed experiment, and they discarded her. But there's more. Amanda scrolls deeper. Adoption file: Serafina Elizabeth Maxey. The adoption was closed, sealed, supposedly from a European orphanage. But Amanda traces the paperwork backward, through shell companies and falsified documents, to a hospital in Queens, to Elena Vasquez, the Maxeys' maid at the time. Serafina isn't adopted from some prestigious European family. She's the biological daughter of their housekeeper. Eleanor and Richard paid Elena $500,000 to sign away parental rights, then created false documents to hide the truth. They replaced their defective super-genius daughter with the maid's child and built an entire lie. Amanda sits back, staring at the screen. She's not broken. She never was. She was engineered to be extraordinary, and when that extraordinariness didn't fit their image, they threw her away. And Serafina, perfect, praised, beloved Serafina, is living a lie built on Amanda's grave. Amanda downloads everything, encrypts it, backs it up in 7 locations across the globe. Then she walks to the penthouse living room where the Maxeys are having breakfast. A tense, silent affair since the FBI raids began. I know what you did. Eleanor looks up, startled. Richard's face goes carefully blank. Amanda, if this is about the company situation, I know about protocol genesis. Dr. Volkov, the experimental gene therapy. She drops a printed file on their breakfast table. I know you created me in a lab to be a super genius and threw me away when I didn't perform like a trained monkey. The color drains from Eleanor's face. How did you? I'm Cipher. Did you really think your medical encryption was going to stop me? Amanda's voice is ice. And I know about Serafina. Serafina looks up from her untouched yogurt. What about me? You're not adopted from Europe. You're Elena Vasquez's daughter. Their maid. They bought you to replace me and built your entire identity on a lie. The room explodes. That's not true. Serafina screams. Tell her it's not true. Eleanor can't speak. Richard's hands are shaking. I have the paperwork. Amanda continues calmly. Birth certificates, payment records, falsified adoption documents. Everything. Serafina is crying now, her perfect composure shattered. You're lying. You're just jealous. I'm a genetically engineered prodigy who taught herself 11 languages, restored artifacts for the Louvre, and built the firewall protecting national security before I could drive. Amanda's voice is sharp enough to cut. Trust me, Serafina. I'm not jealous. She turns to Eleanor and Richard. You called me cursed, broken, problem child. But I'm exactly what you created, just more than you could control. And that terrified you. Richard finds his voice. You don't understand what it was like. You were so distant, cold. You didn't connect. I was 2 years old with an enhanced brain trying to process stimuli you couldn't imagine. You didn't get a daughter you could control, so you threw me away and replaced me with someone more manageable. She looks at Serafina. No offense. Serafina is shaking, her whole world revealed as a construct. Eleanor reaches out desperately. Amanda, please. If this gets out. Oh, it won't. Amanda picks up the file. Yet, consider this insurance. The next time you try to hide me away or call me broken, remember that I have the power to destroy everything you've built. Your reputation, your lies, your precious Serafina's entire identity. She walks toward her room, then pauses. Oh, and Eleanor? You might want to call Elena Vasquez. Serafina deserves to meet her real mother. Behind her, the Maxey family falls apart. The Sterlings have been waiting for the Maxeys to show weakness. Manhattan's elite families circle each other like sharks, and blood in the water means feeding time. Victoria Sterling, old money, older grudges, has hated Eleanor Maxey for 20 years. Something about a stolen fiancé and a sabotaged charity gala. Rich people drama that's calcified into genuine enmity. With Maxey Technologies under federal investigation and the family's reputation in tatters, Victoria sees her opening. She just needs leverage. Amanda becomes that leverage. It starts with a letter delivered to St. Jude's Academy. Hand-delivered by a man in a $1,000 suit who waits in the principal's office for Amanda to be summoned from physics. Miss Maxey. Principal Ashford looks nervous. Amanda hasn't been disciplined once since arriving, but there's something about her that makes authority figures uncomfortable. This gentleman has a message for you. The man stands. Miss Maxey, my name is Lawrence Blackwell. I represent the Sterling family. Mrs. Sterling requests a meeting. I'm not interested in Manhattan family drama. Even when it concerns your foster brother? Amanda goes very still. Excuse me? Blackwell places a photo on the desk. A boy, maybe 16, with shaggy brown hair and a shy smile. Tommy Chin. Not related by blood, but the closest thing to family Amanda had during her years in Appalachia. Mrs. Sterling has taken an interest in young Thomas. He's currently in her care. She'd very much like to discuss the terms of his release. The temperature in the room drops. Where is he? Amanda's voice is quiet, deadly, somewhere safe. Mrs. Sterling simply wants to ensure the Maxey family suffers appropriately for past slights. She's willing to negotiate Tommy's return for certain considerations, such as your cooperation, specifically your cyber capabilities. Mrs. Sterling is aware of your identity as Cipher. She'd like you to provide her access to certain Maxey Technologies files before the FBI seizes everything. Financial records, client lists, offshore accounts. The kind of information that would let the Sterling family acquire Maxey assets at bankruptcy prices. Amanda's face shows nothing. Inside, she's calculating angles, threats, possibilities. And if I refuse? Blackwell's smile is ugly. Tommy is a sweet boy. It would be unfortunate if something happened to him. The meeting takes place in a Sterling-owned warehouse in Brooklyn. Industrial. Isolated. The kind of place where bad things happen and nobody asks questions. Amanda arrives alone as instructed. She's wearing her usual uniform, combat boots, thrift store jacket, carrying nothing but a phone. The warehouse is cavernous, filled with shipping containers and shadows. In the center, under harsh industrial lighting, Victoria Sterling waits. She's 60, elegant, draped in fur despite the spring weather. Behind her stand 6 men, professional security, former military by their bearing. And Tommy, tied to a chair, gagged, his face bruised. "Miss Maxey." Victoria's voice drips with false warmth. How lovely to finally meet the Maxey family's dirty little secret. Let him go. In time. First, we discuss business. You have access to Maxey Technologies' encrypted servers. I want everything: financial records, client information, proprietary technology. Deliver it to me, and your little hillbilly friend goes home. Amanda walks closer. The security team tenses. She stops 10 feet from Victoria. "You kidnapped a minor to blackmail me into corporate espionage. Federal crime. The FBI would be very interested. The FBI is busy dismantling the Maxeys. They won't care about one foster child from nowhere, Appalachia." Victoria leans forward. "Now, will you cooperate? Or do we need to make this unpleasant?" Amanda looks at Tommy. He's terrified but trying to be brave. Just like when they were kids and older foster siblings tried to bully them. She looks back at Victoria. "I have a counteroffer. You're in no position to negotiate. I fight your security team. All 6. If I win, Tommy and I walk out. If I lose, you get everything you want plus Cipher's admin access." Victoria laughs. "You? A teenage girl against 6 trained operatives? My dear, that's not negotiation. It's suicide. Then you should accept immediately." The security team looks at each other. One of them, a scarred man with military tattoos, grins. "Ma'am, I'll handle this myself. Won't take 30 seconds. Victoria considers. There's no way a girl beats 6 professionals. And if Amanda gets hurt in the process, that's leverage against the Maxeys too. "Very well. But when you lose, I want full access. Every system, every password." "Agreed." They clear a space. Tommy's eyes are wide with panic. He's trying to shake his head, trying to tell Amanda to run. The 6 men form a loose circle. They're not even taking this seriously. One of them is texting. Amanda removes her jacket. Underneath, she's wearing a simple black tank top. Her arms are lean, defined. There are scars on her forearms, thin, precise lines that look surgical. "Whenever you're ready," Victoria says, amused. The scarred man moves first. He's 6'3", 220, trained in Krav Maga. He reaches for Amanda with professional precision. She's not there. She's moved inside his guard, too close to punch, and her elbow strikes his throat with surgical accuracy. He drops, gasping. 5 seconds. The others react. 2 come at her from opposite sides. Textbook flanking maneuver. Amanda drops low, sweeps one man's legs, uses his falling momentum to launch herself up into a knee strike that catches the second man's jaw. They both hit the ground. 12 seconds. The remaining 3 stop playing. They recognize a threat now. They spread out, coordinate silently. The remaining 3 stop playing. They recognize a threat now. They spread out, coordinate silently with hand signals. Professional tactics. Amanda's breathing is steady, calm. Her eyes have changed. There's something different about her focus. Like she's not seeing the present moment, but something 3 seconds ahead. They move together. A coordinated rush meant to overwhelm. But Amanda is already moving. She reads their body language like a language she's fluent in. The left one will throw a straight punch. The center one will go low for a takedown. The right one will try to grab her arm. She flows between them like water. The left man's punch meets empty air. Amanda redirects his momentum, sends him crashing into the center man. They tangle, fall together. The right man gets his hand on her arm for exactly half a second before Amanda twists, uses his grip as an anchor point, and delivers a palm strike to his solar plexus that drops him like a puppet with cut strings. 27 seconds. The last two are scrambling to their feet. These are professionals, mercenaries who've seen combat, and they just watched a teenage girl dismantle their team like she's playing chess while they're playing checkers. They come at her together, no coordination this time, just desperate aggression. Wrong move. Amanda sidesteps, lets them collide with each other, then delivers precise strikes to nerve clusters on each of their necks. They collapse. 34 seconds total. The warehouse is silent except for groaning from the security team on the floor. None of them are seriously injured. Amanda was precise about that. But none of them are getting up soon either. Victoria Sterling's face has gone from amused to terrified. Amanda walks to Tommy, unties him with steady hands, removes his gag. "You okay?" she asks softly. Tommy nods, trembling. "How did you?" Later, she helps him stand, then turns to Victoria. "We're leaving now. You're gonna let us walk out, and then you're going to forget this happened. You attacked my security team. I'll have you arrested." Amanda pulls out her phone, holds up a screen showing a video recording. "No, you kidnapped a minor and threatened me with violence. I have video evidence of everything, including your confession to corporate espionage conspiracy. Plus, I've already sent copies to the FBI field office handling the Maxey investigation. They're very interested in people trying to profit from federal cases." Victoria's face goes white. "You were recording." "I'm always recording, Mrs. Sterling. Comes with being the person who designed national security protocols." Amanda guides Tommy toward the warehouse door. "Oh, and those 6 men? They're going to need medical attention. I call an ambulance. Tell them nerve strikes, nothing permanent, but they should get checked out." She pauses at the door. "And Mrs. Sterling? If you come near me or anyone I care about again, the next time won't be a demonstration. It'll be a funeral." They walk out into the Brooklyn night. Tommy is silent until they're 3 blocks away. Then he breaks down. "Amanda, what the hell? Those guys were professionals and you." "I know." She flags down a cab. "I'm sorry you got dragged into this." "Sorry? You just saved my life." "But how? When did you learn to fight like that?" Amanda is quiet for a moment. "When you're abandoned in foster care and you're different, when you're too smart and too strange, you learn to protect yourself. I found a teacher, ex-military. He taught me that fighting isn't about strength. It's about angles, timing, prediction." She looks out the cab window at the passing city lights. "I'm good at prediction." "That wasn't just good, Amanda. That was like superhero stuff." She almost smiles. "Not a superhero, Tommy. Just someone who learned early that the world doesn't protect people like us. We have to protect ourselves." The cab drops Tommy at a hotel. Amanda pays for a week in cash and tells him to stay put until she handles things. Then she heads back to the Maxey penthouse. It's 2 a.m. The lights are still on. Eleanor, Richard, and Serafina are in the living room, faces drawn. They look up when Amanda enters. "Where have you been?" Eleanor demands. "We've been calling. The Sterlings kidnapped someone I care about to blackmail me into stealing your files." Amanda drops her jacket on a chair. "I handled it." Richard stands. "The Sterlings?" "Victoria Sterling tried to. She's not going to be a problem anymore. I have video evidence of kidnapping and conspiracy. She'll leave us alone now." Amanda heads toward her room, then stops. "Oh, and your security team is worthless. I took down 6 professional operatives in under a minute tonight. You might want to upgrade." Serafina finds her voice. "You fought 6 trained men?" "I didn't fight them. I dismantled them. There's a difference. Amanda's voice is tired. Fighting is chaotic. What I did was mathematics. Angles, leverage points, predictive analysis. They never had a chance. Who are you? Eleanor whispers. The question is genuine, terrified. Amanda looks at her biological mother, this woman who created her in a lab, then threw her away when the results were too impressive. I'm the ghost, she says simply. Underground combat strategist. Undefeated in 47 matches. I've trained fighters who went on to win international championships. I've designed defensive tactics used by private military companies. And I learned it all because you abandoned me in a place where being different meant being a target. She continues to her room. Behind her, the Maxeys sit in stunned silence, finally understanding the magnitude of what they discarded 18 years ago. The next morning, Principal Ashford calls Amanda to his office again. Miss Maxey, I've received concerning reports. Something about an incident in Brooklyn last night. Mrs. Sterling and I had a disagreement. It's resolved. The Sterling family is one of our most prominent donors. The Sterling family kidnapped a minor to commit corporate espionage. If they filed a complaint, I'd be happy to provide federal investigators with video evidence. Amanda's voice is pleasant, calm. Would you like me to do that? Principal Ashford's face cycles through several emotions. No, I don't think that will be necessary. The Sterlings have withdrawn their complaint. Excellent. Was there anything else? He looks at this girl, this remedial student who's actually a polymath operating at levels he can't comprehend, and shakes his head. No, Miss Maxey, that will be all. 3 months after Amanda returned to Manhattan, everything comes to a head. The call comes on a Tuesday morning. Grandfather Charles Maxey's attorney, a steel-haired woman named Margaret Chun who's been with the family for 40 years, requests everyone's presence at the estate in Connecticut for the reading of the will. Why now? Richard asks on the phone. Father's been dead for 6 months. The will specified certain conditions had to be met before it could be read. Margaret says cryptically. Those conditions are now satisfied. Please be at the estate Saturday at 10 a.m. All family members must attend. The Maxey family makes the drive in tense silence. Richard and Eleanor in one car. Serafina and Amanda in another with Marcus Chun driving, because nobody trusts them in a car together without supervision. Serafina hasn't spoken to Amanda since the genetic truth came out. She's been in therapy twice a week, trying to reconcile her entire identity being a lie. Sometimes Amanda almost feels bad for her. Almost. The Maxey estate sprawls across 50 acres of Connecticut countryside. Old money architecture, stone and timber, built in the 1920s when the family fortune was being established. Grandfather Charles lived here alone for the last decade of his life, refusing to move into the city even when his health declined. Margaret Chun meets them in the library, a massive room with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, leather furniture, and windows overlooking formal gardens. Thank you all for coming. Margaret opens her briefcase, removes a thick document. Before we begin, I should note that Charles was very specific about how this reading should proceed. He recorded video testimony to accompany the will. I'm gonna play that first. She activates the screen. Grandfather Charles appears. This was recorded maybe a year before his death. He looks frail, but his eyes are sharp, intelligent. If you're watching this, Charles says from the screen, then certain conditions have been met. First, my granddaughter Amanda has returned to the family and has resided with them for at least 3 months. Second, she has reached her 18th birthday. Third, she has not been legally emancipated or otherwise removed from family connection. Eleanor and Richard exchange confused glances. Charles continues, 18 years ago, my son Richard and daughter-in-law Eleanor did something unconscionable. They participated in an illegal genetic experiment on their unborn child, then abandoned that child when the results didn't match their superficial expectations. They called her cursed, broken, a problem. Richard's face goes pale. Father knew. Silence, please, Margaret says firmly. I knew everything, Charles says on screen. I knew about Protocol Genesis. I knew about Dr. Volkov. I knew they discarded Amanda and replaced her with Elena Vasquez's daughter, falsifying adoption records to maintain their image, and I did nothing to stop it. My great shame. I was a coward who valued family peace over doing what was right. Serafina is crying silently. But I did put certain safeguards in place, Charles continues. I inserted a clause in my will requiring Amanda's return. I wanted to see what she'd become, whether my son and daughter-in-law had truly destroyed her, or whether her genetic enhancements would allow her to flourish despite their cruelty. Amanda sits perfectly still, watching her grandfather's confession. I've been monitoring her progress through private investigators. Amanda Chun, as she called herself in foster care, the archivist who restored treasures for the world's greatest museums. Cipher, who built the nation's cyber defense systems. The ghost who revolutionized strategic combat training. My granddaughter became extraordinary despite, or perhaps because of, being abandoned by fools. Richard stands. This is outrageous. Father, you can't. Sit down, Richard, Margaret says coldly. You'll want to hear the rest. Charles's image looks directly at the camera. To my son Richard and daughter-in-law Eleanor, you are hereby disinherited. You will receive nothing from my estate. The company you've been running, Maxey Technologies, was never yours. It was held in trust, and that trust is now dissolved. Eleanor gasps. He can't do that. We've run that company for 20 years. To my granddaughter Serafina, Charles continues, I leave $2 million in trust to be used for your education and therapy. You were an innocent victim of my son's deceptions. I hope you'll use these resources to discover who you truly are, free from the lies that built your identity. I also leave you contact information for Elena Vasquez, your biological mother. That relationship is yours to pursue or not, as you choose. Serafina covers her face with her hands. And to Amanda Maxey, Charles says, his voice softening, my extraordinary granddaughter who survived what would have broken anyone else. I leave everything. The room goes silent. Margaret picks up the document. Specifically, Amanda Maxey inherits the entirety of the Maxey Technologies company and all associated patents, the Maxey estate and all properties, the family investment portfolio valued at approximately $4.2 billion, and all other assets, accounts, and holdings. Richard is on his feet. This is insane. You can't give everything to her. She's 18 years old. She has no business experience. Actually, Margaret says calmly, a review of the Maxey Technologies patents reveals something interesting. 47 of the company's most profitable patents, the ones generating approximately 60% of revenue, were filed by shell companies that trace back to Amanda herself. She's been licensing her own inventions to your company through intermediaries since she was 15. Amanda speaks for the first time. I needed funding for my work. Your company had the infrastructure to manufacture and market my designs. I used anonymous corporate structures to license them to you. You've been profiting from my patents for 3 years without knowing it. Richard's face is purple. You've been stealing from us. Stealing? I've been licensing proprietary technology that I created. You've actually been underpaying the licensing fees. My lawyers will be addressing that shortly. Amanda stands, walks to the library windows. Grandfather's will doesn't give me your company, Mr. Maxey. It returns my company to me. You've been running my patents, living in houses purchased with my revenue, wearing clothes bought with my technology. She turns to face them. You threw me away because you couldn't control my talent. Now you'll leave because you can't afford to stay. Eleanor finds her voice, desperate. Amanda, please. We made mistakes, but we're still family. No, the word is final. You're strangers who share my genetics. Family is Tommy Chen, who protected me in foster care. Family is Mr. Garrett, the librarian who recognized my worth. Family is the people who saw value in me when you saw a problem. She looks at Serafina. You, I have some sympathy for. You were a victim too. The trust fund will help you build a real life. Serafina whispers, I'm sorry. For everything. I know. Amanda's voice softens slightly. That's why you're getting something. But them? She looks at Richard and Eleanor. They get exactly what they gave me. Nothing. Margaret Chin speaks up. Per the will's instructions, Richard and Eleanor Maxey have 30 days to vacate all properties. The penthouse, the Connecticut estate, the Hampton house, all are now Amanda's. Additionally, their positions at Maxey Technologies are terminated immediately. Security will escort you from any company facilities. Richard looks like he might have a stroke. You can't do this. I'll fight this will. You'll lose, Margaret says simply. Charles anticipated every legal challenge. This will is ironclad. And given that you're currently under FBI investigation for corporate espionage, I'd suggest you focus your legal resources on staying out of prison rather than fighting for an inheritance you have no claim to. 2 hours later, Amanda stands alone in the library. The same library where she was told she'd be a shadow, where she was ordered not to touch anything expensive. Now it's hers. All of it. She pulls out her phone, calls Tommy. Hey, it's me. How'd you like to go to college? Full ride, any school you want. My treat. Tommy's laugh comes through. Amanda, what happened? I inherited everything. Turns out grandfather knew the truth all along. He was testing them and me, seeing if they'd figure out what they'd thrown away. She runs her hand along the leather-bound books on the shelf. The same books she carried from the mountain library. They never did. So what now? Amanda looks out at the estate grounds, at the city skyline visible in the distance, at the world that tried to break her and failed. Now, I build something better. I've got patents that could change technology, resources to fund research that matters, and a lot of people who underestimated me. She smiles. I think it's time to show them what a problem child can really do. She hangs up, turns back to the library. On the desk, Margaret has left a final envelope. Amanda opens it, a handwritten letter from Grandfather Charles. Amanda, if you're reading this, you've survived. More than that, you've thrived. I'm sorry I didn't protect you 18 years ago. I'm sorry I let them throw away someone extraordinary because she was inconvenient. But I'm not sorry for who you've become. You did that yourself. The genetic enhancements gave you tools, but you built the house. You became the Archivist, Cipher, the ghost, not because of the experiment, but despite the abandonment. This inheritance isn't a reward. It's a weapon. Use it to build the world you deserved to grow up in. Use it to protect the people who protected you. Use it to prove that the greatest talents often come from the most unlikely places. They threw you away because they couldn't control your brilliance. Now show them what uncontrolled brilliance can achieve. With love and regret, Grandfather Charles. Amanda folds the letter carefully, sets it on the desk next to her ancient books, the ones she's carried through every chapter of this story. She looks around the library one last time. Then she pulls out her laptop, opens a new document, and begins typing. Maxey Foundation Mission Statement. Supporting exceptional children in foster care. Funding education for those the system forgot. Building opportunities for talent society overlooked. It's time to build something better than revenge. It's time to build a future where no child gets thrown away for being extraordinary. Epilogue. 6 months later, Amanda walks through St. Jude's Academy for the last time. She's graduating early. Harvard accepted her for their advanced engineering program, though she's still deciding if she'll actually attend. The remedial track classroom is empty. Mrs. Holloway retired early, citing stress. The other students have moved on to their lives, but someone's waiting outside. Serafina. She looks different, hair cut short, wearing regular jeans instead of designer everything. She's been meeting with Elena Vasquez, building a relationship with her real mother. "Hey," Serafina says awkwardly. "I heard you're leaving." "Yeah, lots of work to do. Amanda, I'm sorry for everything. I know I was terrible to you." Amanda studies her, this girl who was raised with everything Amanda was denied, who wasn't actually her enemy, just another victim of the same people. "You were raised to believe you were better than everyone else," Amanda says finally. "That's not your fault. What you do now that you know the truth, that's on you." Serafina nods. "The foundation you started, the one for foster kids. I was thinking, maybe I could help? I don't know much, but I could learn. And I owe. You don't owe me anything. But if you want to help, we can always use volunteers." Amanda pauses. "Serafina, you get to choose who you become now. Not Eleanor, not Richard, not me. You. Thank you." Serafina's smile is tentative, real. "For not destroying me when you could have. That would make me like them," Amanda says simply. "And I'm done letting them define what I am." She walks to the parking lot where Marcus Chin waits by a town car. He works for Amanda now, head of security for Maxey Technologies. "Ready, miss?" "Ready." As they drive away from St. Jude's, Amanda looks back once. At the school that tried to make her invisible. At the life that tried to break her. She pulls out her phone. 3 new messages. From the Louvre. "The Archivist, we have a 12th century manuscript that requires your expertise. Name your price." From the Pentagon. "Cipher, new threat detected. We need your eyes on this. Highest priority." From an encrypted number. "Ghost, Underground Championship next month. Undefeated challenger wants to test herself against the legend. $500,000 prize. Interested?" Amanda smiles. They threw away their problem daughter. Now she's the talent the whole world needs. And she's just getting started. What happens when you're discarded by the people who created you? When you're called broken, cursed, a failure? When the world expects you to disappear? You become extraordinary despite them. You become the talent they fear. Amanda Maxey's story proves that sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's success so absolute that those who threw you away spend the rest of their lives wondering what they lost. If this story resonated with you, if you know what it's like to be underestimated, overlooked, or discarded, share this story. Let's build a world where no talent goes unrecognized, where no child is thrown away for being different, where being too much of something isn't a curse but a superpower, because the world needs more problem children who refuse to stay silent. The world needs more Amandas.